for some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Hello everyone, welcome to Mornings with Mo. It is Wednesday, I do believe. I've got half of my kids on fall break and half of them not, so I'm kind of in that weird nebulous thing like, what day is today? And it is Wednesday. I just double checked on my phone because I am that kind of, well, mom, as you will. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. We have a lot of news, a couple weird Britney Spears stories, and proof that Kevin Federline can in fact write, which, I mean, has always been shocking to me. So there you go. In our first story, if you were a kid in the 90s, D'Angelo might have been on your middle school kind of dance playlist if you went to IPS schools like I did. So there was definitely a little bit of a sadness that someone that I did awkward middle school swaying on the side of the, middle school gym, has passed away. D'Angelo, the R&B music icon, passed away at 51 after a lengthy battle with cancer. D'Angelo, the Grammy Award-winning R&B soul singer, has passed away at 51. Now, he died after a private battle with pancreatic cancer, TMZ has confirmed. Now, his family did confirm his death in a statement to the Post. And I don't need to see you right now, sir. The shining star of our family has dimmed his light for us in this life. After a prolonged and courageous battle with cancer, we are heartbroken to announce that Michael D'Angelo Archer, known to his fans around the world as D'Angelo, has been called home, departing this life today, October 14th, 2025, the statement read. For the love, dingus, you will get out in just a minute. We are saddened that he can only relive dear memories with his families, but eternally grateful for the legacy of extraordinarily moving music that he leaves behind. We ask that you respect our privacy during this difficult time, but invite you to all join us in mourning his passing, while also celebrating the gift of song that he's left in our world. Now, RCA Records told the Post that we were deeply saddened by the passing of D'Angelo. He was peerless in his visionary, who effortlessly blended classic sounds of folk, soul, funk, and gospel to create kind of a new hip-hop genre. Known as a perfectionist, he released 3 albums that were widely celebrated as masterpieces both by the musical community and his fans. He was heavily awarded and critically acclaimed for his talents. D'Angelo's songwriting, musicianship, unmistakable vocal stylings has endeared and will continue to inspire many generations of artists to come. The record label continued, "Our hearts are with his family and friends as they deal with this difficult time." Now, he was born Michael Eugene Archer in Richmond, Virginia, February 11th, 1974. He learned to play the piano at a young age and played at his father's Pentecostal church. While growing up, he formed a group called Three of a Kind with his cousins, and they performed at local talent shows. Now, his first major kind of introduction to the music industry was co-producing a 1994 single, You Will Know, by R&B group Black Men United. Now, in July 1995, he released his solo album Brown Sugar, which debuted at number 6 on the US Billboard Top R&B charts and spent 65 weeks on the Billboard 200 chart, featuring singles like Brown Sugar, Cruisin', and Lady. So again, this is a big loss. I'm probably going to go listen to some of the songs that I listened to in middle school. You guys know I'm not a big R&B person, but this does kind of take me back to middle school. And I do hope that does sound like me. I can confirm that I do say this a lot, and then Dingish just takes a nap on my bed, looking at me from my stack of pillows like, I live here now. And yes, we did learn exactly how long a female minute is. But I will have to say that that is in direct correlation to how long my husband says a project will last. He's like, this will be great. I'll be done in a week. If you add 2 months to that week, it is in fact the true thing. So we're guilty on both sides of the relationship in our house. I do hope his family and friends are getting the support they need. Cancer sucks, and pancreatic cancer sucks, the big one. That being said, I do hope that with a lot of our celebrities and people that we generally know coming, into contact with pancreatic cancer, maybe we can figure out a way to make it survivable or to have better treatments or earlier screenings, because it does seem like one of the cancers that is just kind of an instant sentence. And I've not had any personal experience with pancreatic cancer in my family, but I do know that it's one of the more difficult ones to diagnose and treat. So hopefully we can start making progress and making research, happen, especially since we stopped looking at why squirrels are gay, or, if climate change makes shrimp run faster on a treadmill. Maybe if since we got rid of all that crazy, study, we can get some real study going. At least that would be my hope. Well, I mean, I will say that I am militant when I get irritated about people who at a drive-through ask me if I would like my hamburger to have cheese on it. Because no, if I wanted cheese on my hamburger, I would have ordered a cheeseburger. That being said, not enough to get into a brawl over it. An order mix-up sparks a bloody 7-person brawl inside a Texas Whataburger. I'm surprised no, pew-pews were brought out, because this is Texas. I mean, I'm shocked. Beef over a food order mix-up sparked a vicious 7-person brawl inside a Texas Whataburger last week, according to both reports from authorities, local media, and, well, just everyone. Now, police were dispatched to a San Antonio Whataburger location just after 3 a.m. last Sunday. Y'all know what your grandma said. Nothing good happens after midnight. And a Mo addendum to that is, okay, really good things can happen after midnight, but there is no middle. It's either really good or terrible, terrible things that will require you to have bail money. So, take your pick. But that's what's going on there. Last Sunday, in a response to a wild melee, the San Antonio Police Department told local news station KSAT. After the cops arrived, they learned that an order mix-up caused the fight to erupt amongst 2 groups of patrons. In a viral video posted to social media, which I cannot show you because YouTube doesn't like violence unless your name is CNN or NBC or ABC, or even Comedy Central's The Daily Show can show these clips and not get dinged for them, but independent creators, not so much. No violence, we will shadow ban you. Now, it did show, separate fights breaking out within the group where individuals were seen pummeling and kicking each other to the ground. Now, the pictures of the aftermath show blood covering booths and floors of the fast food chain. Several people were arrested and charged with assault causing bodily injuries, police confirmed to the outlet. Yeah, If your Whataburger comes with a side of assault, I say no. Now, among those arrested were Andre Garcia Cardenas, 21, Tyrone Tolliver, 21, Miguel Torres, 57, Melly Torres, 21, Andrew Lopez, 21, Deontay Tolliver, 23, and Veronica Valdez, 53. So we got the old bloods and the young bloods out here. It's a full generational fight. Now, two 18-year-olds and two 20-year-olds were also part of one of the groups. Part of another table's order was mistakenly brought to my son and his friends. Instead of the staff acknowledging their error, they reportedly told the other customers, "They have your food." Mother Rebecca Knoll posted on a Facebook, post alongside a video of the fight. Moments later, those individuals confronted my son and his friends, and within seconds, the situation had escalated far beyond a misunderstanding into a violent assault. Yeah, there's no excuse for this. If they have your food, they can remake it. You don't actually need to go into like fight stance. You can act like a human being and an adult and go up and tell the people at the counter that they gave their food to the wrong people. That being said, I guess in Texas after 3 a.m., you'd go into fisticuffs. Never lived in Texas. Maybe it's an unknown rule. Now, the exact narrative described in the post has not yet been confirmed, but the police told the outlet that the video is going to be a part of their investigation. Now, no major injuries were reported despite the chaos, and thank goodness. And thank goodness that no one brought out a pew-pew, because this could have turned into what is a mildly ridiculous case of adults acting like actual jackasses and need a little bit of, prison or jail time to learn that you keep your hands off other people. Could have turned into a life or death situation. And that's why we don't escalate these things. That's why we behave like normal, rational, civilized human beings that can deal with disappointment politely. Now, the investigation does remain ongoing, and Whataburger, the San Diego Police Department, and Knoll did not respond for the comments by the time that this story went out. So I'm sure we'll hear more about this. But yeah, don't be a jackass at Whataburger at 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Now, in a really good update to a story that I showed you guys yesterday, the woman from the Wichita footage that shows her being either kidnapped or violently escorted off while yelling help in the Ring door camera has been found safe. Now, a woman was found safe after the heart-stopping video shows her screaming in a possible abduction outside a Kansas home. A woman seen in the terrifying footage, captured by a Ring camera, screaming for help as she was carried away from a Kansas home and then feared abducted, has been found safe according to authorities. Now, cops received a phone call around 3 p.m. on Tuesday from a woman claiming to be the abductee, captured yelling in the doorbell camera as she was carried down the block by a man who snatched her in front of a Wichita home. Now, investigators responded to her location and transported her to City Hall for a victim interview. She was identified as a 35-year-old woman who lives in the area where the startling video was captured around 2 a.m. on Sunday. The incident is believed to be a case of DV, where the woman was being victimized by her boyfriend, according to police. Now, she does not have any significant injuries, according to authorities' reports. Police were alerted to the incident when the homeowner saw the possible terrifying abduction on their Ring doorbell camera. The woman screamed out the man's name at least twice after he wrapped both arms around her and carried her away. The video was released on Monday for people who were, by the police who were begging for the public's help to try to identify both the man and woman and ascertain whether she was safe or not. Our main concern is the safety and welfare of the woman seen in that video, Police Chief Joe Sullivan said in a fresh appearance earlier Tuesday. Now, the police even offered a $2,000 reward for information leading to the alleged victim and had requested additional help from both regional and federal, authorities to try to locate them. We want to thank the public for sharing the video and still images that generated additional attention about this incident. We do believe that it led the female to call us, saying she was the person we were looking for. An investigation into the video and case will be presented to the appropriate attorney's office for formal charging consideration. And as I say when I cover any of these cases about DV, if this resembles anything or even reminds you of your current relationship, man, woman, zimzer, I don't care. You don't deserve to be treated like this. And there are resources out there to use. And I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy or, peaceful to try to get away, but you can do it. I did, and there are many, many other people that did. And please consider it, because no one deserves to be treated like this. Regardless of gender, age, or whatever, no one deserves to be treated like this. This isn't love. This is, control. In another update, it does seem like we have gotten the victim list for those employees at the Tennessee plant that are presumed dead in the factory explosion. For a long time, the authorities have been reluctant to release the names, probably before, notifying next of kin and doing DNA, testing to make sure the remains found are the remains of that particular person. A small Tennessee town is in mourning after an explosion at an ammunition processing plant last week is believed to have killed everyone who was inside. The blast Friday was reported at Accurate Engineering Systems near McElwain, Tennessee, around 7:45 a.m., leaving behind only scattered debris fields. Now, officials reported a day after the explosion that there were no survivors, adding that the 16 people who were in the privately owned facility were unaccounted for. Now, a candlelight vigil was held Sunday outside the Humphreys County Courthouse to mourn the 16 presumed victims of the blast. Crowds of people could be seen paying their respects with lit candles. On Monday, a list of the victims was released. Jason Adams, Eric Anderson, Billy Baker, Adam Boatman, Christopher Clark, Mindy Clifton, James Cook, Renea Gallahan, Tanisha Mays, Jeremy Moore, Melinda Rainey, Melissa Stanford, Trenton Stewart, Rachel Woodall, Steve Wright, and Donald Yowell. Now, the cause of the blast still remains under investigation, but more is coming to light about the victims and the people lost. So Trenton Stewart, 25, is missing and presumed dead as a result of Friday morning's explosion. His fiancée, Katie Stover, described him as the best man she ever met. I don't even know what I can say to make everyone understand the man he was, Stover wrote on a Facebook post. He made me laugh until I couldn't breathe, and he was truly my best friend, soulmate, and my person. Now, according to Stewart's Facebook post, he was a pastor at a church in Waverly, Tennessee. In a post, he said that his goal as pastor isn't to have the biggest crowd or be the most perfect person, but to show the love of Christ in whatever possible way. The last live stream from one of his sermons was posted on October 5th. Letitia Mays is 26 and still unaccounted for. Her family told an NBC affiliate, WSMV, that she worked for Accurate Energetic Systems for about 8 months, and her family described her as the glue to our family. Stephen Wright. Now, Stephen Wright is left behind by his wife Melinda, who is mourning her husband. How could I have known that that 24 hours ago I would have to watch those taillights disappear for the last time? She posted on a Facebook account the day after the explosion. They do have 2 boys that he is also has left behind. Rachel Woodall is the was a production operator at Accurate Energetic Systems. So there are a lot of people that are lost. Her boyfriend is left behind and remembered her as his angel. You brought color into my world that was otherwise dark and gray. You made me a better man and made me want to strive to be better. We had dreams and a future that we were planning just to be taken away in an instant. You never realize the impact you've made on those people around you, he wrote. Christopher Clark, Christopher Clark's sister, Petty Wood, said he was known as Buck. He never met a stranger, and he was loved by everyone. He will be greatly missed by his family. This is a loss that we'll never get over. Clark was the youngest of all his siblings. There was 9 years between us. We were the babies out of 9. So there are a lot of people left behind by this. Melissa Stanford. Now, Stanford was a mother, daughter, sister, aunt, and according to her niece, she leaves all those people behind. Now, her niece Brittany said that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation spoke to families of the victims on the day of the blast and told them that there was a 0 chance that any of their family members would have survived. You know, keep our family in your prayers, send good vibes, whatever you can do, Brittany wrote in a Facebook post. Jeremy Moore. Jeremy Moore's mother, Alva Hinson, asked for prayers for her son after hearing there had been an explosion at his workplace. She described her son, who lived near her, as sweet as sugar. I call him my little boy, and he would tell you that he's my little boy at about 6'7" and 300 pounds. Now, he'd been working in the munition industry for about 19 years, his father said, and on the day of this blast, he dropped his daughter off at his mother's house and went to work as he normally would. You know, just there are a lot of families, and these people deserve recognition. So we are going through all of them. Thank you, you guys. Jason Adams, Jason and his wife Valerie had just celebrated their 26th wedding anniversary. She asked, "How am I supposed to live without my soulmate, the love of my life, and my best friend?" Billy Baker. Now, Billy Baker's cousin Emily Tate announced his death on Facebook the day after the blast. Billy always seemed big and sturdy, larger than life, Tate wrote. He always had a big smile and a hug for me because I was his little cousin. Now, Tate asked for prayers for his wife, sons, and grandchildren left behind. Clifton. Friends remembered Clifton as a big personality wrapped around a caring heart, while another said she took him under her wing at the start of his career in the corrections industry. When we last spoke, I told you I loved you, and your response was, "I love you too, brother." So I have absolutely no regrets, one of her friends wrote. Renea Gallahan. Now, her daughter Rosalinda said her mother's dream was to pay off her home. She was a beautiful soul, loving, strong, and always thinking of others before herself, Rosalinda Gallahan wrote in a Facebook post. Donald Yowell. A friend of Yowell said his love, his laughter, and his hugs were larger than life. Ashley Oliver asked for prayers for his family and loved ones, and advised everyone to live life the way he did. And in honor of Don, be kind, forgive easily, and love well, Oliver wrote in a Facebook post, all things he did perfectly. Melinda Rainey, and it doesn't look like there's a picture for her, was passionate about WWE, according to her nephew's wife, Kimberly Thomas Thorne. She's one of the sweetest, kindest people I've ever met, she wrote. I'm going to miss her talking about WWE wrestling and aggravating Josh about Tennessee versus Bama. So again, keep your thoughts and prayers if you believe in that. This isn't the place where I'm going to question your theocracy or your theological principles or what you believe. But I do believe that, prayers or thoughts into the universe do manifest somehow. Like not in the weird, cringy millennial way, but in the be kind, pray for people that you don't know. That kind of thing I think does work. That being said, and Fred, I am hoping that things work better for you. I've been keeping up as I can with chat and, doing that. And Squid Pro Quo, I'm getting a happy light too, because I've noticed as the days get shorter, it's getting a little hard to have a pep in my step. So if that works, please let me know. And Fred, I hope they get some answers. And, gives you some pep in your step again. And hopefully, we can be little lights in the darkness right now while you're trying to find your sunlight again. Because that's what we're called to do. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a preacher. I'm like talking about like human. We're called to be nice and kind to each other and try to be a help when someone's having a dark time. Well, Florida has executed the Deacon of Death for murders of two women found dumped in a lake as state sets record. The Florida killer, known as the Deacon of Death, was shuffled off this mortal coil by the state for the murders of two women whose bodies were found dumped in a pond in 1996, continuing a record of 14 executions carried out by the state this year. Are they going for a Guinness World Record? Now, Samuel Lee Smithers, 72, was pronounced no longer living at 6:15 p.m. by lethal jib-jab, if you will, inside Florida State Prison in Bradford County. Now, the execution chamber curtains were opened at 6 p.m., with Smithers already strapped to the table with an IV placed. He declined to give a final statement, with only responding, "No, sir," when asked. For his last meal, he ordered peanut butter, 3 packs of oatmeal, water, and 2 sports drinks. Who has oatmeal as a final meal? What in the name of Cheetos is oatmeal as a final meal? I'd be getting a steak, baked potato, like all the trimmings. He's like, "I'd like some oatmeal." You truly are Waylon Smithers, the evil twin. Now, Smithers was a Baptist deacon who met his two victims, Christy Cowan and Denise Roach, on separate occasions in May 1996 outside a Tampa motel on Hillsborough Avenue, a street notorious for ladies of negotiable nighttime favors for cash. Now, they were both ladies of the evening who were lured to a 27-acre property where Smithers had been asked to do some landscaping work according to court documents. Now, Smithers was found to have engaged with sexy times with both women before leading them to a car park and ending their lives, dumping their bodies in one of the ponds on the property. Now, the property owner, who knew Smithers from church, discovered the deacon cleaning an axe near a pool of blood inside the carport just days after he was supposedly to have finished the yard work. Do any of these people watch crime files or forensic files? Do you not? I mean, yep, just casually cleaning an axe in a pool of blood. I gave myself a little cut. Not that you can see it. Yeah. Criminals are not smart, nor do they use any logic. Now, Smithers claims that he had returned to the property to chop down tree limbs and blamed the pool of blood on someone killing an animal inside, as you do. He's like, "No, that isn't human blood. It's chicken from the chicken and dumplings tonight." Now, the property owner, not buying that it was a slaughtered animal, decided to call the police, who later found Cowan's body lying floating in the pond. Cowan was found murdered only hours after being seen with Smithers on security cameras. A dive team found Roach's body underneath the water, badly decomposed, and believed to have been there for at least a week. Now, both women suffered similar injuries, including strangulation, lacerations, and chop wounds to the head. Now, Roach was found with at least 16 puncture wounds to both the skull and skull fractures. Smithers is believed to have used both an axe and a hoe in the murders. Not whore, but the hoe like you in the ground. Actual, garden tool, not euphemistic garden tool. Now, during his trial, it was revealed that Smithers had visited the Tampa motel several times before he dated another lady of negotiable favors. Smithers' death marks the 14th time this year that Florida has, shuffled someone off the mortal coil on death row, a record for total executions by the state in a single year. Now, 2 more death row inmates, Norman Merle Grimm Jr. and Brian Frederick Jennings, are scheduled to be shuffled off on October 28th and November 13th, respectively. So, yes. And yikes. Now, Grimm Jr. was convicted of assaulting and taking the life of his neighbor in 1998, and Jennings abducted a 6-year-old girl from her home before essaying her and taking her life in 1979. Smithers' execution was carried out the same day as Missouri executed 48-year-old Lance Shockley, who shot and killed Missouri State Highway Patrol Sergeant Carl Dwayne Graham Jr. in March 2005. Or 2005, not 2000. Look, the 20s have confused me. That being said, just a pleasant reminder and a little bit of a deuces salute to, the YouTubes. But here at Mo's channel, we believe that lurkers matter. YouTube doesn't love you, but I love you, and I kind of like this song, to be fair. So lurkers, please, if you can, if you feel inclined, put just a little something in the chat so you are counted, because I think you count all the time, but YouTube is getting a little sus in the bus for this.
Snark loves a lurker, we see you all the same. Lurkers unite, you're the silent light. Watching in shadows, but still in the fight. No chat, no shame, you still boost the game. Snark loves a lurker, we see you all the same.
Fair point, Jeffrey. Some of us will not be brought to by the letter M, the, letter O, and, well, number 69 because it's a fun number. Well, over 50 tons of cocaine were seized by the U.S. Coast Guard in the Pacific since August. What will the VMAs do? What will Madonna do, allegedly in Minecraft? And thank you, Squab Bob, for your gifted membership. And that went to Captain Kern. And thank you so much, Christine, for continuing your membership. You've been here for a long time. And you guys, look at the swear jar. We are just doing awesome. And thank you, Christine, for being here. Christine has been here for a long time. I know it shows that she just became a member, but she is an OG of that. And thank you, Shizzy Raiders, incoming. I will shout you guys out. The U.S. Coast Guard says that it has seized over 50 tons of, Colombian marching powder in the Eastern Pacific Ocean since launching Operation Pacific Viper in early August. Couldn't we call it nose powder, nose clams, bump dust? I mean, this is why I wouldn't ever be in politics, because I'd come up with the most redonkulous names, for these operations. Because Pacific Viper, unless there's a viper that actually lives in the Pacific Ocean, I'm already irritated about this. Now, in total, 86 people suspected of narco trafficking have been arrested as a result of 34 interdictions since August, according to a statement from the U.S. Coast Guard. Now, let's hope that, these actually are being stored in a proper storage facility. Fulton County, Georgia, I'm looking at you, and we're not getting rodents and cockroaches, hooked on the hard stuff like they are in Fulton County's evidence lockup. Through Operation Pacific Viper, or as Mo calls it, dump the nose clams, the Coast Guard is accelerating counter-drug operations in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, where significant transport of illicit narcotics continues from Central and Southern America. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard said that it has surged their assets in the region in the past 2 months in order to interdict, seize, and disrupt transshipments of, Colombian marching powder and other bulk illicit drugs. I'm just imagining that one tugboat has all of the, powder and the other has, knockoff Cialis and Viagra in it. Now, Generation or Operation Pacific Viper's ultimate goal is to counter narco terrorism seeking to produce and traffic illicit drugs in the United States. And thank you again for another gifted membership, Squaw Bob. And that went to Miss Teresa. The Coast Guard seizure of over 100,000 pounds of, powder in such a short time frame is a remarkable achievement, said Rear Admiral Jeffrey Novak, Deputy Commander of the U.S. Coast Guard's Pacific Area. When we say the Coast Guard is accelerating counter-narcotics operations, we mean it. Alongside our partners and allies, our maritime fighting forces scouring drug smuggling routes in the Eastern Pacific and dismantling narco-terrorist networks, Novak continued. As we mark our interdiction of 100,000 pounds, we are already working towards the next milestone. Ooh, I wonder if we get fries with the next one. Now, the U.S. Coast Guard is the United States' lead federal agency for maritime drug interdiction. With more than 76,000 members, they operate a multi-mission interoperable fleet of more than 220 cutters, 185 fixed and rotary wing aircraft, and 1,300 boats, along with its own dedicated cyber command to protect critical maritime infrastructure. So hopefully they don't get hacked after they've, bragged about all of this, because that would be a little embarrassing. A Power School hacker, thankful I got caught, has been, sentenced to 4 years in prison. Oh, son, you are going to be someone's girlfriend for so long. A computer hacker and former college student, Matthew Lane, who was a teenager when he carried out a massive cyber attack on education technology company Power School, was just sentenced in federal court on Tuesday to 4 years in prison in order to pay back more than $14 million in restitution. $14 million? I mean, I hope he's saving his pennies. You are not even going to be able to shop on the value meal menu from McDonald's, if they even have it when you get out. Now, Lane was a former Assumption University freshman who federal prosecutors described as a sophisticated and experienced cyber criminal, and told a federal judge that his crimes occurred during an extremely dark period during his life, but acknowledged that he deserved punishment. In June, Lane pled guilty to what is widely considered to be the largest exposure of private student data in history. And welcome, Shizzy Raiders. The breach compromised sensitive information of some 60 million students and 10 million educators. I robbed actual people and their families of their sense of security, Lane, now 20, told U.S. District Court Judge Margaret Guzman, his shaggy hair obscuring his eyebrows and the tops of his glasses, adding that he was thankful he got caught. Now, Lane says he takes full responsibility for his crimes, but he was disconnected from reality when he was engaged in hacking. And he has since become sober not just from drugs, but from the internet as well. Accompanied in court by family members and several friends, Lane broke down and sobbed after learning his sentence, which includes 3 years of supervised release and a $25,000 fine. So in addition to the $14 million, let's just add another $25K on there. He was convicted of cyber extortion conspiracy, cyber extortion, unauthorized access to protected computers, and aggravated identity theft. Federal prosecutors were seeking a 7-year prison term, describing Lane in a sentencing memo as being motivated by greed, and said the threat to Power School warned, "We intend to fully destroy your company and bankrupt it to the point of absolutely no return," if it didn't meet a $2.85 million ransom demand in Bitcoin. So, yeah, he kind of threatened to destroy people and sell personal information. Now, Lane's sentencing concludes a year-long cybercrime saga, which began in September 2024 when prosecutors say he hacked into PowerSchool's computer network and transferred stolen records to a leased server in Ukraine. Now, about 3 months later, PowerSchool officials received an extortion demand to prevent sensitive student and teacher data, including Social Security numbers of children as young as 5 years old, from being leaked worldwide. Lane also pled guilty to working with an unnamed co-conspirator from Illinois it's Illinois, it's not Illinois. I'm having a moment. Illinois to extort $200,000 from a unnamed U.S.-based wireless telecommunications company between April and May of 2024 before he discussed the need to hack another shitty company that'll pay and set his sights on PowerSchool. And welcome, Shizzy Raiders. I didn't quite get that in. Now, Guzman, who appeared to be sympathetic to Lane's young age at the time he carried out multiple cyber attacks, said the case should serve as a cautionary tale to parents everywhere and expressed alarm about the breadth and reach of technology to commit crimes anonymously. Guzman said that the challenges Lane faced as a teenager, including social isolations and struggles to fit in with his peers, made him vulnerable to falling through a rabbit hole. Yes and no, because as I have always said, the major commandment in the Church of Mo is whatever you're dealing with, and it can be a lot of bad stuff. There is bad stuff in life. Doesn't give you the excuse to be a shitty person to anyone else. Whatever you're going through does not give you carte blanche to be a jackass. So I feel sorry for this little guy who didn't feel like he fit in, but that doesn't give you the right to excuse or victimize other people. Just no, it doesn't. Now, Guzman said society can't go back to the days of typewriters and television sets with just 5 channels, but parents have placed computers in their children's bedrooms and provided cell phones to grade schoolers without proper guide rails. Lane, she said, won't be the last one to exhibit bravado behind the screen of a computer. This woman has obviously not been on the internet. That is everyone. Now, defense attorney Sean Smith asked the judge to sentence Lane to 3 years in prison and 3 years of supervised release. Smith said Lane was very much cognizant of the seriousness of his offenses and that he pled guilty and admitted fault from almost the word go. Now, Smith said Lane was a teenager when the cyber attacks unfolded and had no previous convictions. Letters of support submitted by family members to the court made it clear that Lane was a generous, loving, and patient individual who grappled with loneliness, depression, and anxiety. The seriousness of Lane's actions cannot be overstated, said the U.S. District Attorney Kristen Kearney, who called his behavior calculated, and it does seem to be calculated. The PowerSchool data breach caused real harm to millions of people who are now still, faced with the stifled job prospects, heightened insurance costs, and other harms that may follow them through the rest of their lives. Now, Kearney noted that Lane made several efforts to conceal his identity and avoid detection and was financially motivated. He desired designer clothes and jewelry, and she said, to host parties at extravagant Airbnbs. Lane did not make a teenage mistake or get mixed up in the wrong crowd, she argued, but carried out carefully planned attacks for financial gain. Now, personal statements that put Lane in a positive light, she said, showed that he was living a double life. In the online world, she said, digital chat messages included slurs, anti-Semitism, and, threats of sexual violence. Now, I'm guessing she went into his 4chan or, his Halo DMs, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, honestly, this is ridiculous. He was a young kid, but he still needs to do that, and I do feel like this sentences did that, but then he needs to be personally required to help all the people redo their lives. Kearney also disputed Smith's assertion that Lane was a first-time offender at the time of the PowerSchool breach, despite his absence of a criminal record. Now, last week, federal officials accused him of carrying out at least 8 other cyber attacks dating back to 2021 when he was still in high school. Prosecutors said that the Power School attack resulted in more than $14 million in damages, including the ransom payment, identity theft services for the students and teachers who had their data, basically hacked. In a statement to the 74 on Tuesday, Power School said it appreciates the efforts of prosecutors and law enforcement who brought this individual to justice, and that the company remains focused on supporting our school partners and safeguarding student, family, and educator data. After the sentencing hearing, a tearful Lane, who wasn't immediately taken into custody, was embraced by both families and friends. "I'm so sorry, you guys," he said to four friends outside the courtroom, exchanging hugs and handshakes before getting into an elevator. So, again, it seems like a, reasonable sentence for him doing something kind of really shitty to a bunch of people. And as always, whatever is going on in your life doesn't give you an excuse to be a shitty person. Well, an eighth victim has been confirmed in a fiery I-85 crash that took the life of an entire Georgia family, and the truck driver has been charged. I know that these are kind of from all over the place, but I do like to get the smaller stories that aren't so engaged in political stuff. Like, I know that Mitt Romney's, sister-in-law passing is a big story, but it seems a little too political and not something I wanted to cover this morning until there are more actual, concrete things about that story. And I like getting information to stories that we might see in an upcoming trial. I do try to find, stories that might end up becoming a trial that, LawTube, YouTube, all of us that are trial addicted might watch. So that's kind of my rationale. Authorities in Jackson County, Georgia, have confirmed that an eighth fatality in the devastating crash that occurred Monday afternoon on Interstate 85 North has passed. So another person has lost their life. Now, investigators say that all 8 victims were inside a Dodge minivan that was struck from behind by a tanker semi-truck, sparking a chain of reaction that engulfed the van in flames. The Jackson County Coroner's Office reported that the victims ranged in age from age 2 to 42, and that all were members of the same family. The crash took place just south of mile marker 147 at around 4 p.m. and involved 6 vehicles in total. The Dodge van bore the brunt of the impact, leaving no survivors from that vehicle. Now, the Georgia State Police initially reported 7 fatalities at the scene, but confirmed late Tuesday that an 8th victim had been located. Now, the accident is being called one of the deadliest highway crashes in Georgia in recent years. Authorities did arrest the tanker driver, identified as Kane Hammock, who now faces a series of serious charges, including 8 counts of second-degree vehicular homicide, second-degree vehicular feticide, following too closely, distracted driving, and operating a vehicle without a current plate. Investigators believe that Hammock's truck was traveling too closely behind the Dodge van when traffic slowed, leaving him unable to stop in time. Because those tankers and semis don't stop in time. That's why I give them a wide berth. I try to let them give me a wide berth, because you can't just stop up. Look, I'm not math smart, but I do understand force and acceleration and how much it takes to stop a very heavy object. And it does seem like with the inclusion with feticide, maybe one of the victims was pregnant and it wasn't known about until the autopsy, which could have led to the 8th victim. Feticide is not generally something you see all the time, so while this is totally Mo speculation, I do no, we will be removing you. Boat guy, I don't know what you're trying to do, but no thank you. Yeah, we're gonna put you in timeout for 5 minutes. Sorry about your luck. We don't do that. Yeah, we're gonna mute you. That being said, I may not pay attention totally to chat, but I do notice things. So that is, I mean, this is totally Mo speculation, but that is what I'm thinking about this. Now, obviously, I'm not a lawyer, and once the actual documents do drop, we can try to get a better understanding, but that's what I'm guessing. Sounds like, yeah, I will. Thank you, Squid Pro Quo. I I rarely have to block people, so I was like, oh crap, what is this? Now, the fiery crash also involved Atlanta-based Fur Kids Animal Rescue Group, which was traveling nearby, transporting 37 cats to Vermont. Now, although the rescue van was damaged, none of the staff were killed, and two cats remain missing after fleeing the wreckage. The group continues to search for them while tending to the animals that were injured in this. Now, officials say that the cleanup and investigation efforts along I-85 lasted several hours as firefighters had to work to extinguish the blaze. That section of highway was closed until early Tuesday morning, trying to get all of the, dangerous materials and fire and anything potentially smoldering off, the road. Now, this tragic accident has shaken the Jackson County community and left a family of 8, including a toddler, lost to what authorities say was a completely preventable act of distracted driving. Now, as the investigation continues, residents and local organizations are uniting to offer support to those affected. And hopefully they find all of the cats, and the community can rally behind the people left behind in this family, because this has to be just a heartbreaking thing for anyone left behind. Well, oh, no, come back. I've got to find it again. But we're getting ready to start Final Form Jesus, so let's start with that while I pull up the story again.
The key kept its grove, thou gloaming shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
And I don't even know what to make of this. This is not safe for work. I hope you have your earbuds in. But apparently Skims has, Kim Kardashian's, undies company has made the ultimate bush pubic hair thong that has baffled, everyone. And I even think like E.T., who's listening in to our internet signals, is like, what in the name of hell? From face wraps to nipple bras, Kim Kardashian is not afraid to go there, but she might have taken it too far with her latest Skims product launch. On Tuesday morning, Skims announced that they would be entering the merkin market. If you don't know what a merkin is, think of a wig for your vajazz. Think of a, toupee for your lady bits. Because why wouldn't every woman want a merkin? On Tuesday morning, Skims announced that they would be launching a capsule or a collection called the Ultimate Bush. Now, the collection features barely their thongs with a variety of hair textures and tones to attach to the front. Let's see if they have a close-up of this. What in the name of... Well, apparently it's not safe for work, but apparently you can decide whether you're a curly girl or a straight lady, I guess. Am I a little more auburn, or do I want to go chestnut brown? What in the name of Cheetos? Now, along with a borderline problematic campaign video set on a 1970s style game show called Does the Carpet Match the Drapes?, the collection's tagline is, with our daring new faux hair panty, your carpet can match whatever color you want. There you go. I mean, because who thought we didn't need this in our world? Kim Kardashian, the spiritual leader we deserve. In the video, a suited host asked a live studio audience to guess which of the models down their hair matches the color of the hair on their head. While a parody, it dances along, if not fully crosses the line when it comes to objectivity. After only an hour on Instagram, the video had almost 500 comments, most of which were less than supportive. "I am calling 911," wrote one follower. Another one joked, "I just Googled the date to make sure that it's not April Fool's." Yes, she specifically made a bra that has its own headlights so that you can wear a bra but still let your nipples free. Although they're faux nipples, and whatever this face thing is supposed to do, I think it's supposed to give you a cut jawline or make you look like a mental patient. I don't know, but Kim Kardashian has always been a brilliant star of absurd, and I say heifer shine on because this is the story I needed today. Who asked for this? And "Kim Kardashian, are you okay?" were the basic sentiments of the rest, with one commenter going so far as to write, "I can't unsee this and I demand a refund for something that I never even paid for." Now, this isn't Kardashian's first headline-breaking product for Skims. While most have been met with support by shoppers, however, her polarizing nipple bras became a viral sensation, and even her face wrap, while comical, isn't quite as befuddling as it once it went mainstream on the interwebs. Back in December, Kardashian teased her newest product with a faux fur bikini, hinting at a Merkin style, although she had yet to really announce her Gracie Lou Freebush sort of bikini project. So there you go. If you would like your carpets to actually match the drapes and not have to shave anymore, you can buy Kim Kardashian's new Merkin line of bikini thongs, as you do, for reasons. Well, in continued just amazement that Kevin Federline can even write, he is dropping bombshells on our beloved Britney Spears, claiming that she would kind of stand over over her sons while they were sleeping with knives. Now, considering all of the knife dancing that we have seen from Miss Spears, it's not as shocking as Kevin Federline writing a book. So maybe. Britney Spears' ex-husband, Kevin Federline, has made a shocking claim that their children would wake up to find their mother holding a knife while watching them sleep at their bedroom door. Now, Federline 47 dropped the alleged bombshell in his upcoming memoir, Sweaty Thoughts of a Backstage Dancer. That's not actually the name. It's You Thought You Knew, his book, according to an excerpt obtained by the New York Times. Now, Spears 43 reportedly had a strained relationship with two children that she shares with Kevin Federline over the last few years, and Federline alleges that the sons, Sean Preston, 19, and Jaden, 18, no longer wanted to visit their mother in their teen years, citing fear as one of their reasons. They would waken sometimes at night to find her silently standing in the doorway watching them sleep. "Oh, you're awake," with a knife in her hand, Federline wrote in the excerpt obtained by the Times. Then she'd turn around and pad off without explanation. Now, I want to remind everyone that this is, a memoir and not court documents. So this is going to be a lot of he said, she said, and there is probably going to be some legal shenanigans involved with this, especially if it can be proved that this is more defaming or, defamatory than truth. Now, truth is, an absolute defense to defamation. So if he has recordings of this or the sons can sign affidavits, then I don't see this being a problem. But I do see this as being something that Spears's team is not going to take well. So I do wonder if we are going to see another Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni kind of thing, only with Britney Spears and K-Fed. I mean, I'm here for it. Now, Federline also wrote about his growing concerns about his ex after she began behaving erratically. He laid bare his fears that Spears was hurtling toward an irreversible decision. The truth is that this situation with Brittany feels like it's racing towards something irreversible, he wrote in the book. I mean, who doesn't dance around in knives with a, crop top and a bikini bottom? It's become impossible to pretend that everything is okay, Federline added. From where I sit, the clock is ticking and we're getting close to the 11th hour. Something bad is going to happen if things don't change, and my biggest fear is that our sons will be left holding the pieces. Now, to be completely serious with you guys and to not add any joking, if she was behaving erratically, then Kevin did the thing he should have done, which is protect his children. That being said, until I see proof of anything, this is a guy trying to sell his book and do promos. And I think we all need to acknowledge that Britney Spears, you know, has definitely been seen acting erratically, but how much of that was done because she was in a conservatorship, we don't know the truth, is basically what I'm trying to get down to. And, until I see court documents, or I'm guessing this is going to go into a PR, blast, we don't know the truth. We know what both sides are saying, but the truth generally lies somewhere in the middle or not even in the picture when it comes to Hollywood. Now, Federline's memoir also reflects on a night in 2008 when Spears was committed to a psych ward and put on a 5150 psychiatric hold after she refused to relinquish custody of her sons to Kevin, calling it one of the hardest nights in his life as he watched his partner in the midst of a breakdown. So again, we will probably be seeing more stories like this as he does try to promote his book. Why does he look like a witch? I don't know that you should put that photo. That just seems also that this font looks like something I read on my Smexy novels. That being said, I'm not going to get too deep into the Britney Spears thing, but I foresee it becoming a trial for defamation by one of the parties or both. Well, a California gardening enthusiast has won the biggest pumpkin contest, and his massive prized gourd is here. A Californian engineer and gardening enthusiast won a top prize at the annual pumpkin weighing contest in Northern California after growing a jack-o'-lantern gourd weighing 2,346 pounds or 1,064 kilograms. Brandon Dawson of Santa Rosa, California, clinched the victory Monday at the 52nd World Champion Pumpkin Weigh-Off in Half Moon Bay, San Francisco. Dawson pumped his arms in the air and sat with his two children on top of the giant pumpkin, roughly the same weight as a small sedan or a large bison, after being crowned this year's winner. My mind was kind of racing because I was in this position last year when I lost by 6 pounds or 3 kilograms, he said in an interview. Now, Dawson is a manufacturing engineer at electric vehicle maker Rivian Automotive, and said he's been growing massive pumpkins for about 5 years. Precision skills acquired at his job help him to get the right watering and sunlight to help his gourd grow. Oh, he has to use math? That's why I didn't like gardening. He says he enjoys getting his kids involved in the process. We like to spend time out in the patch and watch the thing grow, Dawson said about his 2-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter. My 4-year-old can now really pay attention to the growing process, especially since the giant pumpkins can grow by 50 to 70 pounds a day. Holy goodness. Now, the pumpkin champion won a $20,000 prize for growing the biggest pumpkin. All right, well, Mo's going to get herself a pumpkin seed, and we're going to go get $20K. Dawson's pumpkin was the runner-up in last year's contest at Half Moon Bay when the winning gourd was grown by a Minnesotan horticultural teacher, Travis Ginger, who came in with a 2,471-pound pumpkin. Oh, that's cute. They're little kids. Now, Ginger of Anoka, Minnesota set the world record in the Californian contest in 2023 for the heaviest pumpkin when his prized, giant jack-o'-lantern weighed 2,749 pounds. Now, his pumpkin was damaged earlier this season and he couldn't enter this year in California. Now, two brothers in England earlier this month broke his record with a gourd that weighed 2,819 pounds. I don't know. So I do know that pumpkin pie pumpkins are called sugar pumpkins, so they're a little sweeter, but I could imagine that would make a hell of a lot of pumpkin pie, pumpkin bars, pumpkin spice lattes. I mean, we've got all of it. It's all covered. And in our final form Jesus story, this just kind of seemed to fit here. 70% of people who have had a near-death experience go on to make this change, even more than they get divorced. Well, they were at death's door and opened a window into a whole new world. About 15% of severely ill patients reported enduring a near-death experience, which may mean having an overwhelming out-of-body sensation, an encounter with a dead loved one, or a vision of a bright light, a rapid review of their life's milestones, or a profound sense of peace. Now, to figure out which people with, near-death experience were out there, researchers at the University of Virginia surveyed 167 individuals who said they had one. So this is still a very small self-reported study. Jeffrey, that is actually, so whatever story they have going on in this video, if you go down and you don't the first time, it will try to have that video just to kind of ADHD you into clicking onto a new video at the end of this one. That being said, that's what I just click it off so you guys can see that. Normally I have two of the same screen or two of the same pages, so I scroll down, but that's a lot of work. So I've been trying this way. Now, one major coping mechanism stood out from the rest, with almost 70% of participants reporting a shift in their religious or spiritual beliefs and their fears of death in the aftermath of their near-death experience. My near-death experience was considerable, one patient wrote in the questionnaire. I know I'll never be the same person ever, so ongoing reflection and inner work are needed daily. Others use the occurrence to reevaluate their personal relationships, with over 20% reporting divorces or breaking up, or even more weathering relationship challenges or breakdowns after their near-death experiences. And loneliness and isolation were also reoccurring themes among the people who have experienced these kind of things. Now, one survey participant called their near-death experience a double-edged sword, saying it was both incredibly transformative and that they had to keep it to themselves for fear of being judged. The researchers said that 64 participants have reached out to, or 64% of the participants have reached out to counselors, mental health care professionals, spiritual advisors, or online communities, with 78% finding that support helpful. The more intense the near-death experience, the more likely that the patient would be to seek help. The problem is they have trouble finding suitable support. One church told the participant, "We don't do that here," and they have difficulty discussing their experiences when they did obtain help. After a few attempts, I honestly didn't feel like anyone was deep enough to handle it. All the responses were textbook and uninspired. It was very disappointing, one participant wrote. Another noted, my experience felt that those around me didn't understand the magnitude of what I went through, so I didn't think others would care either. Now, the findings were published in the Journal of Psychology of Consciousness, Theory, Research, and Practice. Now, the UVA researchers hope that their work can pave the way for better care for near-death experience, sufferers, patients. The research on how to support these patients and their specific need still needs to be researched, said one of the leaders in UAV's or UVA, sorry, Health Department of Psychiatry and Neurobehavioral Sciences. And the study also needs to be not of people that claim they have this, because it needs to be documented. We need to do this scientifically because we are dealing with something so ephemeral and kind of, nebulous for most people. We do need to have clear documentation that they experience these things so that we can come up with a science-based kind of, database to look at this and see what are ubiquitous. This is a very small study. I believe let me go back to the top, but it was only 167 self-reported people who claimed to have had these. Now that, I would like to remind you, could also include Chad Daybell. So we need to get it, actually more, scientific, in my opinion. Well, it's time for the name and shame part of this. The what in the hell are people thinking, and maybe it's Satan, portion of our news story, where we name and shame and quietly wait for the justice system, for the courts to render justice. We just name and shame and get the stories out there with our best friend, Lord Chippy, because justice is a journey, but Lord Chippy awaits, allegedly, euphemistically, and only in Minecraft.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Every time I see another headline where a parent says, "Oh, my child was kidnapped," like there aren't actual, fast acting federal agencies that get involved in child abduction, that your story's not going to be scrutinized, that is a get out of jail free card for nefarious things that you've done to your child. I keep wondering if they haven't watched the news, because I believe this will be it'll be the fifth or sixth time that I've done a story where the parents claimed the child was abducted, but it seems all the sus. Highly questionable. A father's story about a 6-month-old being abducted during a robbery has unraveled as inconsistent testimony points to foul play, police say. Police in Georgia say that a father's story about his 6-month-old being abducted on Sunday while he was being robbed at Pew Pew Point is, quote, highly questionable, end quote. Instead, the police think that the dad might have done something with the infant's disappearance, and he is considered to be a suspect. As the investigation into the missing child advanced, detectives became suspicious due to inconsistent testimony, along with physical evidence that points to the existence of possible foul play, said Clayton County Police Department in a press release on Monday. Now, Antonio Pierce of Riverdale allegedly called cops on Sunday around 8:18 a.m. and claimed that his son, Nikkei Pratt, was taken during an armed robbery. He said that the little boy was in a car seat carrier and taken by multiple suspects who had fled in an unknown direction, according to, the police department's release. Now, Pierce's story allegedly unraveled when he was being questioned by the police. He was taken into custody for unrelated charges, including, devil's lettuce distribution and a child restraint violation. At this moment, the facts surrounding the disappearance of baby Nikkei are highly questionable, and the CCPD detectives have deemed his father to be a possible suspect in his sudden disappearance. Now, searches have been conducted at Pierce's apartment complex and in the nearby wooded areas, and they have revealed no findings yet, according to police. Now, K-9 search and rescue teams have been deployed, but with no additional evidence being found in those locations. Several search warrants have been served to locations, and detectives believe that they might be relevant to this case. However, those did not yield baby Pratt's location either. Now, the baby, who was still missing as of Tuesday afternoon, reportedly has a twin sibling who is safe and at home with the mother. A car near Pierce's home has been taken away by police and is being investigated by I'm guessing forensics and things like that. I've just seen them out here searching, said a neighbor, Maisha Sykes. They're actively going into bushes. I've seen them looking into trash cans. It's disturbing to have them here and keep waking up to see they're still looking for a 6-month-old baby that can't fend for himself. Now, Tracy Crouch, another neighbor, told WAGA, "For such a little child helpless, I don't think there's going to be a good end to this. Everyone knows it." Now, a woman who is connected to Pierce was reportedly taken into custody and questioned over the baby's disappearance, but has not been arrested or charged. Now, Pierce is being held without bond for the unrelated distribution charges. So this is a case to keep up with. And if there is an update, I will keep you guys up to date with this. I wish I could say that I hope that there's going to be a good ending, but I've done too many cases like this that it unfortunately just ends badly, and it sucks. I am actually shocked that with this mugshot, the man had enough testosterone to even attempt to commit assault and battery and, an attack. A jealous ex showed up at a woman's home, jumped on her new boyfriend's car, then stabbed him while trying to barge inside, according to police. Again, with this beautiful copper pinky color, I didn't think you had the testosterone to even jump. So there you go. Life swings and roundabouts. You now have felony counts, but you did prove that you have enough testosterone to at least engage in reckless behavior. A 20-year-old Texas man went to his ex-girlfriend's house and began jumping on the hood of her current boyfriend's vehicle, which prompted the new boyfriend to come outside, sparking a confrontation that ended with the new suitor being stabbed. Christian Foncella allegedly went to his ex's residence in Laredo at around 1:48 a.m. on Friday. Again, for this being Texas, the fact that pew-pews were not brought out is showing a level of control I'm shocked at. So he went over there at, after midnight to begin attacking her current boyfriend's car, according to local NBC and ABC affiliate KGNS and the Laredo Police Department. Now, the woman who lives off of St. Pierre Lane remained in the home while her new boyfriend allegedly went outside to see why, Christian was jumping on his car like a trampoline. Just like, hey, how are you doing? Why are you doing that? Cops say that an altercation ensued, and Christian allegedly tried to get into his ex-girlfriend's home by barging in through the front door. The two men began scuffling with one another, and Christian allegedly, stabbed the new boyfriend. The victim suffered from non-life-threatening injuries, and Christian was located several houses away from his ex-home after police were called to the scene by, his ex-girlfriend. The Laredo Morning Times reported that Christian was under criminal trespass warnings after earlier harassment complaints were filed against him. Now, court records do show that he was previously busted in August for resisting arrest and criminal trespass. He was released on bond following those arrests to only go out there and do it again and try to stab someone. Maybe we should keep him in the clink. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe he doesn't need bond. Now, it's unclear if those alleged crimes had to do anything to do with this ex, or if it was another person that he'd been, harassing or stalking or whatever, allegedly in Minecraft. But, and the Laredo Police Department didn't respond to Law and Crimes request to try to clarify that information. Now, Christian was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for the latest incident on Friday, and he is remaining behind bars without bond, at least as of Sunday. So as of their latest update, we believe he's behind bars, but hopefully if he was given bond, the victim was made aware of that and can take, security and safety matters into their hands to create a safer environment for themselves. As I have always said, don't care if your girlfriend breaks up with you, don't be a jackass. She thought it was funny. Now, this woman needs to go directly into the center of the sun. Lord Chippy would get sick on her, and I don't even think Gen Pop wants to deal with her. When I am president, people like this will go to Greenland, we'll have a Hunger Games set up, we'll send them supplies once a year, and we'll pay-per-view the whole thing on, or we'll live chat the whole thing, live stream it, and make up the national debt. She thought it was funny. A daycare worker who abused a disabled 11-year-old with hand sanitizer after taunting the child with a piece of cake and smearing icing all over their face. Ma'am, I hope your hair thins to the point of female pattern baldness in Gen Pop, because we're already thinning up here, and I'm guessing you got a bald spot right about here that you're hiding. Also, lady looks like a dude. It's not dude looks, that's a dudeish face right there. Good luck in Gen Pop. Bon voyage, bitch burrito. Drop the soap. A Florida woman, well, who's shocked about that? I mean, honest to God, who is shocked? A Florida, whoa, man, is behind bars for abusing an 11-year-old child with disabilities at a daycare facility for children with medically complex, conditions. Now, Caitlin Pitzer, 36, stands accused of one count of CA, according to the Hernando County Sheriff's Office. The underlying incident occurred on October 9th at the Trade Center Care PPEC, Prescribed Pediatric Extended Care Facility in Spring Hill, a large census-designated place located some 50 miles due north of Tampa. On the day in question, deputies responded to a report of possible CA involving an employee and an 11-year-old child with disabilities. Now, deputies say the administration at the facility had concerns with this heifer, Caitlin, this mega thunder cow, who had recently been terminated and had mistreated a child while she was employed with the facility, according to the sheriff's office. Now, the ensuing investigation, deputies consulted surveillance footage of the same afternoon, which appeared to show the defendant and another aide at the facility trying to put a bandage on a child's forehead as the child sat on the floor, the sheriff's office said. Now, as the child leaned forward, Caitlin forcibly pushed on the child's forehead, causing the child's body to jerk backward in a manner that appeared both violent and excessive. So she basically pushed him. And again, not only a child, but let's really take a look at the decrepitation of this woman's soul. Not only a helpless child, but one that has disabilities, one that your protective instincts should be on triple, double duty. But this woman thought it was okay to, taunt, use her force over one of the people that we should be honor bound to protect just being human. A child, and a child with disabilities. What is wrong with you? This is the most corroded human behavior I have seen in a while. And I do this every morning. Now, this is just one of my soft spots because I used to work with adults with developmental disabilities, and now that I'm a mom, but any functional human being can, I am sure, get a little bit of a hate boner for this chick, a semi-chub, if you will, of hatred, because she absolutely preyed upon one of the most vulnerable people in our population. And I don't like bullies. I don't like bullies who use their size or, their functionality to be dicks. It's kind of like my main thing. Don't be an asshole. And this woman just could not stop herself when given the opportunity to, enforce her power over someone. Again, like I said, bon voyage, bitch burrito, drop the soap. Allegedly in Minecraft, do whatever you want. Now, the alleged mistreatment didn't stop there, authorities said. A few moments later, footage showed Pitzer taunting the child with a piece of cake. When the child reached out and swiped some of the icing with their finger, Caitlin was visibly frustrated and took the child's finger, smearing the icing across the child's face. She then picked up the icing that had fallen on the floor and aggressively rubbed it on the child's face and forehead. She then proceeded to wet a paper towel and approach the child from behind, forcefully wiping the icing off of the child's face. From behind them, roughly, causing visible distress noted on the child's face and probably their body language. I don't like to be approached from behind me. And you've got to think, if they've got medical disabilities or delays, they might not, be able to hear you coming up behind them. It's very scary. I mean, hell, Mr. Mo scared the bejesus out of me in the shower this morning. Well, he wasn't I was taking a shower, and because he's so tall and we have a 70s shower, he basically was looking at me above it like, Wilson from, freaking Home Improvement. And I hadn't realized he was standing there, and I was like, Jeebus. I nearly fell over because I don't have any, coordination. I was like, why are you trying to kill me? But I can tell you, as a person who is really triggered by people coming up behind me, especially when I don't know them, it's not a good thing. And that little bit is terrible too. And well, I mean, we don't know. That might have been in cutscenes. Now, next on the footage, the child immediately moves away from this, monster to try to attempt to get themselves into a safe place. However, the alleged, abuse continues. Minutes after the icing incident, footage shows the child standing near the trash can filled with thrown away cake. Then, Pritzker allegedly grabs the child and brings them to a wall-mounted dispenser where she applies hand sanitizer directly to open wounds on the child's arm. This cahoot. After that, the child is seen running away in distress. Now, law enforcement say the child's parents offered additional context to the harm that the child is believed to have suffered. Now, during the investigation, detectives made contact with the child's parents, who expressed significant concern after viewing the surveillance video. You would have to lock me down, because Mo would not be thinking Mo right there. Mo would be enraged mama bear, and you don't treat anyone's kid, let alone a kid with medical, diagnosed disabilities like this. And yes. The parent advised that the force used to shove the child backwards could have caused a serious injury due to pre-existing medical conditions. The parents also reported that the scabbed injuries, which had been in the healing process, kind of scabbing over older wounds, started bleeding again and, becoming irritated because of the hand sanitizer. Detectives went on to confirm that the child's disabilities, noting the victim had documented medical conditions, made them particularly vulnerable to injury and, this abuse. While speaking with Pritzker, she advised that she had been frustrated that day. I don't care. You are an adult. I don't care if you're frustrated. I don't care if your anxiety's over the roof, if your mom died or didn't die, Lynette. You don't treat people like this. Nothing gives you the excuse to victimize a child because you're having a crappy day. And she acknowledged that her behavior was inappropriate. The sheriff's office said she knew that applying the hand sanitizer to the child's open wound would cause pain, but didn't care. She further admitted that smearing cake on a child's face, and she said she thought it was funny in the moment. Now, Law and Crime did reach out to the sheriff's office for additional details, but there was none after this. Now, she is currently being detained in the jail on a $15,000 bond. So this is, This is one that I will also keep an eye out for if anyone is in the Florida area and maybe has local news coverage of that. My email is mointhedeepend@gmail. Shoot it to me because I do try to keep tabs of all of these stories that I bring to you. But I do go to like 9 different sites to get you morning news. So if you guys are in Florida or know someone in Florida that will be able to bring updates on this story, let me know. But that is our naming and shaming for today. Well, now I don't know these two, but they are YouTubers, so I've started to add more pop culture-y things in. It seems that British YouTubers Dan and Phil are in a relation dateship and revealed they have been dating since 2009, that they're partners in everything. Now, I don't know these two, I don't particularly know who they are, but they are YouTubers. So there you go. YouTubers Dan Howell and Phil Lester are finally setting the record straight after several years of speculation, and yes, in fact, they are dating and they've been dating since 2009. Now, the duo addressed their relationship status in a YouTube video posted on October 13th to their joint account titled, "Are Dan and Phil in a relationship?" And in less than 24 hours, the 46-minute video garnered nearly 2 million views. Now, they started their YouTube channel in 2014, focusing on comedy, gaming, and challenge-style videos. Now, they each came out separately as gay in 2019 and have been living their life together for 15 years, although neither confirmed their relationship to be romantic. So there you go. Apparently, they're together. I've never heard of their relationship, but it seems like a big deal to people who care about them, and I'm glad that they can finally be honest. Whatever, your secret is, whatever that you don't feel comfortable sharing with people around you, it becomes a weight. It becomes an anchor. And, as long as they're not hurting children, puppies, or kittens, I am A-okay with whatever they're doing. That being said, don't know them from Adam and Eve or Adam and Steve. But, live your best life. We're only here once. Be kind and don't be a jackass. Those are kind of my mottos. Well, it was a lucky day for Carl, an escaped bull in Massachusetts who got a little bit of help from the fire department. He's like, "Do not make me hamburger. I will side-eye you. Is that a bacon?" Oh no, he saw the Baconator in the cop's car. He was like, "How dare you? How very dare you?" Emergency responders in Massachusetts responded to an unusual call that ended with the return of a runaway bull named Carl. The Warwick Fire Department said on social media that the crews were summoned Saturday to assist local police with the capture of a loose animal. Now, that loose animal turned out to be a curly-haired bull named Carl. It's good that he didn't go missing near my house because I want one of those miniature Highland cows, like just as my emotional support cow. Although I also need to get a miniature donkey to be my emotional support ass. Can you imagine Mo walking into Walmart with a bedazzled service donkey? Well, a mini service donkey with a bedazzled vest that says emotional support ass? Because I would. I totally need to do this. I needed Dingus is my current emotional support ass, but being a cat, he's more sociopathic than emotional support animals are supposed to be. Also a confirmed dumpster diver. So I need a miniature donkey as my emotional support ass. We were able to provide help and traffic control on Route 78 or Orange Road until our famous friend Carl was corralled and put back in his pasture. So there you go. He's back. Carl is back. And in a fun little segment I like to call Puppy Kitten Break, when animals do funny or ridiculous things, I am working on merch, so I will definitely make that. in a segment I like to call Puppy Kitten Break, because sometimes we just have so many headlines that make you want to scratch your head and, you know, well, just darken your heart that little bit. We need to have some good puppy kitten stories. So here we go.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
Well, I mean, it's a headline I never thought I'd see, and a dog I never thought I'd see a dog in thigh highs. But you know, every day is a new day to find a Christmas miracle on the internet. A golden retriever rescue follows his mom's "you steal it, you wear it" rule, and here's what happens. Raise your hand if you've ever caught your dog or cat, because Dingus does this with my hair ties, doing something it absolutely shouldn't, but you couldn't help but laugh anyway. That's a mix of frustration, disbelief, and a little bit of amusement. And that's exactly what unfolded in a viral video when one clever rescue golden retriever pushed her mom's patient and ended up leaving thousands of viewers in stitches. Meet Mango, the rescue golden retriever who's no stranger to mischief. In a recent viral clip, Mango's mom shared what happened when her curious pup decided to help her to a pair of black thigh highs. Rather than scolding her, Mango's owner decided to enforce a lighthearted house rule. You steal it, you wear it. Now the video opens up with Mango proudly holding her mom's thigh highs between her paws and looking both guilty and defiant. The on-screen text humorously reacts to another episode of "You steal it, you wear it." Moments later, the camera cuts to Mango, who is now wearing the stockings on her hind legs like a runway model. The sight is both ridiculous and adorable as the fluffy golden retriever stands confidently and clearly unbothered with her new thigh highs, her new smexy look. Her mom jokingly captioned the video, "Girl, where'd you even find these?" The combination of Mango's calm demeanor and her unusual outfit has viewers howling with laughter. One user joked, "Wow, we were not prepared for that," while another encouraged, "Now strut your stuff, Mango." Someone else chimed in, "I'm going to need to go snag something cute right now," as if inspired to, join the trend. Another viewer added, "This needs to come with a not safe for work warning," referencing Mango's spicy runway look. Many praised her mom's lighthearted way of handling a classic case of canine mischief. So let's look at this again. I mean, because it does look like youngest most feral doing something wrong. I'm surprised she even let her put him on, though. That being said, this might be my favorite story of the day, just because sometimes I need that. Now, in our final story, for those of us who are calmly and not so calmly right here, waiting for Stranger Things just because I want to know the ending. It's like, reading all of the Harry Potter books and then waiting for that last, 500-page one, to find out if Harry lives. I'm like, look, I just want to know if Eleven lives. I'm okay if she doesn't, but I just need to know the end of the story. That being said, it does seem like we're getting a little bit of information about how long the episodes are going to be in the 5th and final season. Now, episodes 1 through 4 will be 68, 54, 66, and 83 minutes long respectively, and they will premiere November the 26th. Now, another run of episodes will then be dropped after that first drop in November on December 25th, while the final set is set to debut on December 23rd or 31st. So if you are waiting, I'm waiting. Yeah, they are 45 now. Look, the kids are going to explain 401ks to us now. The kids are all going to explain how we're supposed to retire soon. That being said, I didn't really get onto the Stranger Things when it first came out, and then I kind of got into it just because my kids liked it and I wanted to make sure it wasn't too scary for them. And then I got really into it, and then season 3 happened and I was like, oh my dear Lord, what the hell? Then season 4 was pretty good, although Netflix, I'm gonna call you out. You made us fall in love with Eddie and then you killed him? Why would you do that to me? You made him like this lovable oddball and then you made him die. This is not fair, and I expect emotional support and or chicken nuggets. That being said, that's all I have for you guys this morning. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I go through the news all the time. I've always been a news nerd, and getting to do kind of my own show where I pick the news has always been a dream for me. So thanks for joining me and sharing your time with me. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness doesn't equal doormat. Also, whatever's happening to you, don't be a jackass. It's not hard. Believe me, I struggle with it though, y'all. Like, my sassy comes out when it maybe doesn't need to. That being said, Mr. Motion frightened me in the shower. I didn't mean to backhand him. I just flail out. Bye, you guys.